This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here with Francisco Roig, or Roche, who is joining us all the way from Bolivia. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Jamie?
Fantastic. Now, you are with the winery, the winemaker from the winery 1750. Where exactly are you positioned in Bolivia?
We are in Samaipata, which is a very small quaint village in the northern frontier of Bolivian and South American viticulture on the eastern slope of the Andes.
And you're right in the middle of South America.
We're right in the middle of South America. If you look at a map and you type Samaipata, it will send you to the very center of South America.
Okay, so we are currently all living within this ongoing pandemic. I'd be very interested to hear how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted you at the winery and within Bolivia as a whole.
Yes, I mean, so this has been crazy. Bolivia has gone through a very difficult time the second part of last year. We had some horrible forest fires in September of last year. Then we had very messy election with a lot of political disarray that
Really?
ended up
Okay.
with the president renouncing and going through a process of transition to new elections. And so basically the country was in some sort of revolution for like 2 months, which
Wow.
made us very hard for us to work. And then as we were recuperating from all that, COVID, it's like this was, and and people in the northern hemisphere may not realize, but it happened when we're like harvesting.
Yes, 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 yes. I was
So
aware of that. Yeah.
it was,
Did you manage to get the harvest in?
yes, but
Okay.
it
Okay.
was awful.
Yeah.
It was just very, very difficult, we pride ourselves of being probably the most organic winery in Bolivia, and
Right.
and just really working with organic products and alternative methods to produce like the most natural possible grapes.
Yeah.
Well, between COVID and all the political disarray, we couldn't even get organic products.
Oh, wow.
So these are nature's gift to us. Just like these are gonna be like the most natural wines ever produced, I think.
Oh,
And
right. I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, it's crazy. It was just crazy. I mean, we had to resort to all sorts of things like, you know, um, pruning some leaves to give more
Yeah.
aeration. Just like doing a lot of technical things that every winemaker knows that you could resort to, but usually you don't.
You shouldn't
You
really need to. Yeah.
do it you do it kind of as a preventive thing. No, here you
Yeah.
were like, oh, it's like that we all became like as religious as you can get from any religion or belief you can follow, because we prayed quite a bit. We were
Well,
like,
it would become a necessity to do that, right?
oh, of course, for mental sanity, so yeah, it was crazy. The whites, we were able to harvest them before COVID, and some of the Syrah. The rest of the reds, it was harvested between 3 to 4 people. That's
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and not necessarily the strongest fellas. It's like 2 dudes and 2 girls, and
Wow. Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, but we got it all in. We were able to kind of plan properly. In Bolivia, you can actually not you cannot move from one place to another. So you're actually locked down in your house, except the one day that your identification number, last number, allows you to go grocery shopping.
Oh, really? That's how they're doing it, right?
So
Okay. Okay.
it's very strict. However, for agricultural production, because is food,
Yes. Yeah.
you do have some wiggle room, and you can go to wherever you're producing food. And in our winery, aside from producing grapes, which is our main business, we have a couple of sustainable orchards.
Yes.
and we also produce olives. So this gives us permissions to go there. Of course, we use most of our time to harvest the grapes, and that's how we did it.
Well,
So
I'm glad you managed to get the harvest in.
yeah,
How has the Bolivian government, having this kind of tumultuous time before COVID, how do you feel they have managed the COVID-19 pandemic? And where are you at right now?
yeah. So I'm at home. I'm locked, and it's been. I mean, there are some positive things in the sense that they were very aggressive with the quarantine approach.
Right.
So that was able to slow down contagion. Um, the political instability of the country has yielded to, some protest and some people going in the streets, or a lot of complaining about what's going on in the country with us locked down. We're supposed to have elections on May 3rd.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because this was
No.
a transition government.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, not even Congress can resume. So, so the country's in some type of political limbo trying to
Yes.
deal with this
Can.
pandemic. Now they're talking about September. You know, critics from both sides are saying that it should be earlier or it should be later. Or I mean, it's still a mess.
Yes.
Because a lot of people want a longer um, kind of process to go back to normal. Some other people think we should go start working now, and just have the elections and get it over with. But the situation is that even though contagion was pretty slow, our hospitals are pretty overwhelmed. There's a lot of people dying. There's a lot of desperation. A lot of people are very nervous. And we're entering winter also. So
How was your healthcare system pre-COVID?
terrible.
Right. Right.
Yeah, Bolivia has some of the worst healthcare systems. We have public healthcare, but it's just really, really badly managed.
Oh dear.
Bolivian governments, once after another, have spent money in other type of things and not really invested in health.
And is there pressure from a large quotient of the population to open up again, to open up businesses and the like?
There is, and I would say the country's pretty split, and it's not necessarily on political grounds. It's just sometimes even in your own family,
Yes.
some people are like, you know, they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, okay, let us out of the house, let us not lose our jobs, let our companies not go bankrupt.
Of course.
And others
Yeah.
are, let's stay home and at least make sure that we get out of these alive and healthy. So, and I think maybe it's a global concern.
Of course.
For
Yeah.
us being a small, poor country, it's just a little bit more distressful.
What is the biggest impact the lockdown has had on you personally, Francisco?
For us, it's been quite tough on the company because our main market is
Yes. Yes. Of course.
restaurants and hotels. So we're not a big supermarket kind of winery. We're a very small boutique winery, and we're not part of the big distribution lines. So a lot of our very important and very dear, actually, because when you work with this clientele, you become friends with your clients. A lot of our very dear clientele is in financial distress. Some of them have already closed down.
Really.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so we're gonna have to see how we're gonna reinvent ourselves out of this one.
I think that's one of the big questions the world over is how is the hospitality sector going to come out of this in any way related to the way they were presenting their businesses before?
Precisely, and that is something that we're working with some of them. Like two of our neighbors are boutique little hotels that are beautiful, and they're very family run kind of hotels, and we're working with them to see how to create packages that would allow people to travel in families and tend more to local tourism and
Yeah.
national tourism. Like even in the winery, we are not open for tours yet, but we probably will be in a week or two once
Oh, I see.
We're coming to an easement part. And we've been in lockdown for 3 months now. It's like,
Yes.
and yes. So we're already setting up like tables spread apart and doing many things for people to be able to get out of their house, get some mental sanity, but be safe.
Are people in Bolivia mainly following the social distancing guidelines?
Um, they're supposed to. There's instructions for that.
Right. Are
They
masks mandatory?
Sorry?
Are the masks mandatory?
They're mandatory. So
Right.
you
Okay.
have to have mask. You have to have social distance. You have to wear gloves when you do grocery shopping.
Right. Right.
The supermarkets would give you gloves if you don't have any.
Oh, I
But
see. Okay. Okay.
yeah, you cannot enter without them. Um,
We do not have that here. That's for sure.
oh, oh,
No.
really?
No. I wear gloves and a mask, but it's not mandatory in any way whatsoever.
Oh no, for us it's mandatory. I
Yeah.
mean, you can be arrested if you're out of your house on the day that is not your ID number.
Wow.
It's very
Wow.
strict. And you have to go to a supermarket or a convenience store or wherever you go get your groceries that is within your district.
Right. Right. So
Yeah,
much more strict lockdown than we have here in Canada. Wow.
very
Well,
strict.
it's interesting to see how every different country is approaching this from very different angles and following very different scientific principles sometimes, or scientific evaluations of the situation.
Yeah, and they're saying, I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, we have a female president,
Yes, yeah,
and she fired a prior minister of health and put in a new one who's also a woman. She's a
right,
woman doctor. So we have a lot of women who are in charge of dealing with these. And with the poor infrastructure of the country, I think what these ladies have bet for is um, social distancing and lockdowns,
yeah.
kind of just prevent the contagion.
I think for the most part, it looks as if the women leaders around the world have been doing a damn sight better job than the male ones.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, and I don't want to be like sexist one way or
No,
another.
no, 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 no.
I
Don't
try
get
not
me
to
wrong.
opine, but it is true that their message, at least in Bolivia, is pretty much stay home.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Stay home, and we'll see how we deal with it once it's over.
Well, Francisco, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Bolivia today. Really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll have a chance to taste a glass of wine together at some point in the not too far distant future.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. We're working on that. Thank you for your time, Jamie, and
Oh,
for
anytime.
your concerns on our situation in Bolivia.
Excellent. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye.